So hey there YouTube, it's all here again. Welcome to part 2 of my pitch for a Batman video game. Before we jump into this video, if you haven't seen part 1 yet, the link to that video is in the top right corner, so check it out first before you jump into this video. But for those of you who have already seen part 1, for part 2, I'm going to be delving into the gameplay aspect of this Batman video game. I'm going to be pitching my ideas for the gameplay, alright? In the first video, I was talking about the premise and characters as well as the lore. In today's video, I'm just going to be talking about my ideas for gameplay and a little bit more of the lore. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. So starting off with the gameplay for this game, let's discuss something incredibly important to any third person superhero game: the combat. When it comes to the Arkham games, the FIFA combat system was iconic. It revolutionized the combat in gaming, and no third person superhero game has been able to replicate that kind of gameplay. Not the Spider-Man PS4 games and not the Gotham Knights game. So nothing has been able to replicate the Arkham 3-4 combat system. So I was thinking, let's just implement the 3-4 combat system into this Batman game, but like try to tweak it a little bit. I think I can add a new spin onto the system with the gadgets I have installed. But I'll talk about the gadgets more about the gadgets later on in the video. But for now, let's just try to implement the 3-4 combat system into this game, because when I think about it, just like the web swinging from Spider-Man 2 PS2, I feel like the 3-4 combat system should be the standard that every Batman game should live up to. The standard that every Batman game should live up to. Hey, feel free to disagree with me, but I'm not sure how you can switch from a 3-4 combat system. I mean, it perfectly aligns with Batman as a character and his fighting style, like him fighting seamlessly throughout the battlefield. But one thing I want to add, I think my idea for this combat system is we should include cinematic finishes. So when you think about these finishes, like think about heat actions from the Yakuza games or the focus gauge from the Insomniac Spider-Man games. You have at least 2 bars that you have to fill while in combat. Like when you fill up 1 bar, you can perform a finisher, and when you fill up the 2nd bar, you can also perform a finisher. These finishers are different from the combos you could do in the Arkham games, because they're more cinematic and they involve the environment, and they can also involve gadgets that Batman uses. So yeah, that's my idea, adding finishers similar to the Insomniac Spider-Man games and similar to the Yakuza games. Like, let's think Batman, a cinematic shot of Batman using his Batclaw in order to perform a choke slam on them. Another thing I want to talk about, another important aspect of a Batman game, I think, the stealth sections. You would have vantage points to grapple to, and eventually where you can do takedowns on enemies in stealth. But yeah, so we have vantage points and vents that you can use in stealth sections. But another aspect, another way I want to make these stealth sections feel unique and feel like their own thing. So I want to add a shadows mechanic. The shadows mechanic is basically a bunch of blind spots in a stealth section that you can use in order to evade enemies. They help you to keep out of the enemy's sight, and they also work like this. Think about lights in an area, alright? You have to destroy the lights in the area with your batarangs, or you can shut down the power in the area with a switch. So how this will work, you have vantage points, yes, but after you take out the first enemy and the enemies become alerted to your presence in the area, enemies will constantly check the vantage points. It's not in the Arkham games where they will just throw like a mime on the vantage point and leave it. Enemies will constantly check vantage points and vents, and this makes you vulnerable. So that gives you an incentive to use the shadows and to create blind spots for yourself in the environment to evade enemies. So the shadow system is kind of inspired by Manhunt, or like that game Thief, if you remember, using the shadows as a way to hide from enemies. All right. Tell me what you guys think about this system. I really like. If I'm seeing playthroughs of Manhunt, I really like that shadow system, and I think it would work well with a character like Batman. Let's talk about a vital aspect of Batman's character, his gadgets. I mean, Batman is known for his gadgets: the Batmobile, the Batwing, Batarangs, and Batclaws and all that stuff.
Hand me down the shark repellent bat spray.
So anyway, the gadgets I come up with, some are from the comics, and like at least one is from the Arkhamverse, but with its own spin on it. I want these gadgets to all feel unique to this universe, not like a replica of the Arkham of the Arkham series. But let me know if you like the list I've got here for you guys. Okay, so starting off with the first gadget, it's obviously got to be the Batarang. Like, I mean, this is Batman's typical weapon, the typical weapon that Batman uses in combat. With the Batarang in the Arkhamverse, I remember you can stun enemies while in combat and during stealth encounters to take them down, and also to alert them to certain spots for a takedown. From what I remember, in Arkhamverse, you couldn't use the Batarang to disarm enemies who had like guns and knives during a combat encounter. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you couldn't do that from what I remember. So I would like to implement that aspect. You can upgrade the Batarang to help you disarm enemies who are using guns and knives during combat encounters. But you can also upgrade the Batarangs, so you can use a maximum of 5 Batarangs to instantly knock out enemies in a combat encounter. Then we move on to the second gadget, which is the Batclaw. So this version of the Batclaw is also different from the Arkhamverse. So with this Batclaw, you obviously can use it to pull enemies towards you. This Batclaw you can use in finishers, where you can pull an enemy towards you, do a freaking choke slam or a clothesline. But here's the difference. Normal enemies you can pull towards you with the Batclaw, but for certain enemies, special types of enemies, and including brutes, big, the big guys, you can only zip kick those types of enemies. As you upgrade the Batclaw, you can instantly take down enemies with the zip kick, or like you can do a special finisher with a zip kick. So that's how I would make this type of Batclaw different from the Arkhamverse. But the Batclaw also has other uses. The other use for the Batclaw is that during combat, you can grapple onto objects in the environment, and like a wooden crate or steel pipe, and you can throw those objects at enemies. Similar to Spider-Man PS4, this is where I got the idea. You can grab onto objects and throw them at enemies. And also the Batclaw, you can, grab objects with it in the open world. And also the other use for the Batclaw is that, if there's like a structure in a stealth encounter, you can use the Batclaw to pull it down on enemies and take them down. So yeah, that's my idea for the Batclaw in this game. Then now we move on to a third gadget. This is my idea, my own original gadget. Stun grenades. So you can use a maximum of 2 in the beginning, but you can upgrade it to 3 later on. So stun grenades can be used for crowd control. So it has a similar use to smoke bombs, but it's kind of different. With a stun grenade, it can actually stun enemies and put them in a dizzy state. So you can use this during combat encounters to stun an enemy for a short while, and take them down while they're incapacitated. But you can also use it in stealth encounters, the stun grenades, where you can use it like a quick getaway to when you're like in a tight spot and you have multiple enemies coming after you. They're alerted to your location. You can use it for a quick getaway. Stun grenades are a replacement for smoke bombs, and it's kind of like an improvement because this thing can actually stun enemies. You can use it to get the drop on enemies when they're like in a dizzy state. So that's my idea for the stun grenade in this game. Then we move on to the fourth gadget, and I like to call this one the sticky bomb gun. This thing is different from the freeze and blue grenade. It's kind of like a combination of the blue grenade and the explosive gel from the Arkham games. This sticky bomb gun shoots out a sticky bomb that can trap enemies in one position so you can get a quick takedown on them. But the difference here is that this can only be used in a stealth encounter, and the thing about this gadget is that you can only shoot the sticky bomb onto certain surfaces in the area. On certain surfaces in the area, you can only use the sticky bomb gun. But yeah, you can use it to instantly take down enemies, like get them stuck into one position, and get a quick takedown on them. The thing about the sticky bomb gun is that it can only work on one enemy. That's the only downside to it. But as you can upgrade later on for it to take down at least 2 enemies. And also the cartridges for the sticky bomb gun, it starts as 2 in the beginning of the game, but you can upgrade it to 3 later on. Now we move on to the 5th gadget, bat darts. So these are similar to Nightwing's whisk darts from Arkham City. Okay, so these darts are basically sedative darts that Batman can throw at enemies to knock them out instantly during a stealth encounter. You unlock these later on in the game, like midway through the game, and you have at first you have a total of 2 bat darts, but you can upgrade it to 3 later on. So yeah, pretty much similar to the sticky bomb gun, right? Limited use. But the thing about this wrist darts, I'm not sure, but I think it'd be cool if you could go to first person mode when aiming it. I don't want it to be similar to Nightwing's gameplay from Arkham City, but I think the first person perspective is a cool detail. Yeah, so that's the 5th gadget for this game, the bat dart. But now we move on to the old grapple hook. Alright, this is you can say this is a gadget, but you can use this in the open world also. Like you can use this like in stealth encounters and like in the open world. So the grapple hook, you can use it to grapple from one vantage point to another, and it makes traversal much more easier. Speaking of traversal in this game, since this game is an open world game, we're obviously going to have to include gliding. Like we need gliding for traversal in a Batman game, obviously, and it would obviously be similar to the Arkham games. You can nosedive and to gain altitude. But the difference here with this type of gliding in this game is that I want to include wind currents. Wind currents that Batman can use to traverse throughout the city. So I'm taking some inspiration from Spider-Man 2 PS5 here. You use the wind currents to increase your speed while gliding throughout the city. I think this would be a very useful mechanic since you're like traveling between the 3 areas of Gotham, from the Narrows to South Gotham to Old Gotham. I think this mechanic would be really useful. So, and also the wind currents would replace the grapnel boost. Let's just leave the grapnel boost back in the Arkhamverse. Let's just leave it back there. I think the wind currents are a good replacement, and it helps the traversal in this game feel a bit more unique. Like it's not a complete copy of the Spider-Man 2 PS5 game. You can still it increases your speed, but But also another difference is that like in the Insomniac games, you could only like go in one direction, but with these wind currents, you can go in different directions, and you can like go to into different directions. It's not like one straight direction. You like can go in different directions. So that's how I would make this traversal mechanic unique. Now we move on to what you call it now. I think it's yeah. I would call this mechanic is environmental vision. So think about the like Eagle Vision from the Assassin's Creed games, Spider Sense from the Spider-Man games, or or Detective Vision from the Batman Arkham games. So I want an environmental vision mechanic because like I think it make gameplay fun and work into the detective side of Batman for this game. So this environmental mechanic is going to be far different from the detective vision in the Arkham games because there's no detective vision in this game. There are going to be three environmental mechanics in this game, and three of them are going to have their own color scheme. So let me elaborate. The first environmental mechanic that you use is I will call stealth mode. This mode you obviously use in stealth encounters to examine the environment, see what weapons enemies are using, and and plan out your attack. So I'm taking some inspiration from the Nolan verse. We know those sonar laser lenses. I think that's what you call them. Sonar laser lenses that Batman used in his final fight with the Joker near the end of the movie. When you switch this mode on, the environment is dark, but you can see glitchy figures, which are the enemies moving around the area. And while the weapons are coated in red, and other surfaces in the area that are important are coated in yellow. But the difference here is that with this environment, with this mechanic, you have to be stationary. You have to be in one spot in order for this mechanic to work. You have to be in one spot, like from a vantage point, surveying the area with this mechanic. From what I've seen online, people don't. The one complaint people have about detective mode in the Arkham games is that during stealth encounters you can like do the entire encounter while in detective vision, man. You can move around in detective vision. For this stealth mode in this game, to make it a little bit more harder, I would have you have Batman stay in one position, in a stationary position, while he has this mode on surveying the area and plan out his attack. So that's how I would differentiate it from the Arkham games. Then moving on to the second environmental mechanic. This mechanic you use during investigation sections of the game. I call it investigation mode. Yeah, I know, original name, but I need to differentiate a little bit from detective mode. So this investigation mode, the color scheme for this environmental mechanic is orange, and obviously you use it during like crime scene investigations, and when you're trying to piece together a crime scene. So like this can involve a murder, or when you're trying to figure out when you're trying to trace the movements of someone, and you're trying to figure out what happened in the environment, similar to the mechanic from Arkham Origins. So there's going to be like side missions where you do crime scene investigations, but they don't really stop there. They move on to different areas. Let's say you're in an apartment. There's a first floor and a second floor. You're in this mode the entire time. You're checking the entire area with investigation mode. And how this would work, objects of interest would be coded in blue, and you would go into a first person perspective while in this mode, when you're moving around the areas investigating the crime scene. So yeah, similar to the Arkhamverse games, but a little bit different. And also, while objects of interest will be coded in blue, you would still have to I would say You would have to like there would be like a theory section to this mode where you have to piece together what happened, and you can get things wrong, and may have to start over again if you like get things wrong when piecing together the evidence to figure out what happened in the area. But then now we move on to the third mode, the third environmental mechanic, wage mode. So wage mode is basically where you can go ape shit and freaking decimate enemies in a combat encounter. Think about from the Insomniac Spider-Man games, from Spider-Man 2 PS5. When you go into symbiote surge mode with the symbiote suit, and you go ape shit on all the enemies, like you're freaking being brutal with them. Think about that, but for Batman now. So there would be a third bar. There are two focus bars you have to fill up in order to do finishers. But then there's a third bar that you unlock later on in the game. And how this bar will work, once you fill up the third bar, Batman, the entire screen would go red, and Batman's fine side would start to become more brutal. Like he's starting to freaking break bones and go and ape shit on all the enemies in the area. And you would even have unique takedowns with this mode. And it also involves gadgets. No, not gadgets, but it involves the environment as well. The only downside with this mode is that you can still take damage. Like if an enemy has a firearm or like a knife, and if they hit you, you can still take damage, but you can still take damage from them, but it won't be like catastrophic damage. All right, it'll be like little damage, but you can still take damage for them. So don't get carried away with the wage mode. So it's similar to like the electrocutioner's gloves in the Arkham Origins game. You're like on God mode with them when you activate them, but you mustn't get carried away with them. Otherwise, you can still get hit by other enemies during the encounter. Now we move on to the enemy types of this game. So since it's an open world game, you're gonna have 4 enemy types in this game. First are the regular enemy types you encounter throughout the open world and in random crimes throughout the city. And some of them you also encounter in the main story, but you mainly encounter these enemies in side missions and in random crimes throughout the city. There are like there are 3 gangs present in Gotham City. So after that 10-year time skip, 3 gangs have emerged in the city and are running rampant throughout the city. You first have Black Mask's Force Space Society. Then you have the Hellfire Gang, and then you have the Cult of Joker. Then also you have your average criminals in Gotham City. And these all make up the first enemy types in the game. These enemy types consist of normal enemies. The only difference between these enemies are going to be their attire and I would say the type of weapons they use. Like these enemies can use baseball clubs, handguns, knives, metal batons, and sometimes machine guns. Just saying. I will go into in depth with these 3 gangs later on. I'll talk about them more in the side missions in the next video when I come to the side missions for this game. But yeah, they make up the first enemy type for this game. The second enemy type for this game consists of the corrupt GCPD force. This faction is a little bit more different from the regular enemy types because they're more militarized and they have different types of weapons like stun batons, shields, grenades, and advanced firearms. You encounter them in combat sections and in stealth encounters. And also the thing about this enemy type is that they sometimes can become an unlikely ally. Throughout the open world, you can find them fighting the thugs in Gotham City, the regular enemy type. So they can sometimes be an advantage to you, but most of the time you will have to come into conflict with them. You encounter them in the open world, but you also encounter them in side missions and the story. Now this brings us to the third enemy type, which is the soldiers of the Corvals, the advanced soldiers. Also, the backstory behind these soldiers is that They kidnap, random inmates and sometimes homeless people off the streets, and they brainwash them into becoming the perfect soldiers for them. They're similar to the GCPD force. Like, they're a lot. I wouldn't say they're a lot harder than the regular enemy type, but yeah, I would say they're actually a little bit more harder than the regular enemy type. But they also have different weapons as well. They have like swords. But then this brings us to the last enemy type, the Talons. So the Talons are from the Batman comics. They're also the special type of assassins that the Court of Owls has created. You don't encounter the plus side with these enemies. You don't encounter them in stealth sections, but in combat they're like on a whole different level, man. Right? For the regular enemies. You know how in free for combat you can fight, you can punch enemies and you can counter. That they kind of not like they're not like a threat to you. They're still a threat, but like they're easy to like take down. Like from the Arkhamverse games, if you remember, you punch, counter, and all that. The Talons, on the other hand, can fight hand-to-hand combat with Batman. Think about the ninja enemies from Arkham Origins and Knight. These enemies won't just like they won't just hit and you can counter them. They will like freaking, like if you hit them, they will counter your hits. So that makes them more dangerous than the regular enemy type. So they can fight hand-to-hand combat with Batman. So that makes them way harder than the regular enemy type, and why you have to upgrade your gadgets later on in the game when you're fighting these types of enemies. And also with these enemies, you have your own special takedowns with them. You have your special finishers when taking them down. And also with the talons, there are multiple variants to the talons. You have your normal ninja type talons with swords and all that stuff. Then you have the ranged talons. Think of the inmates, the ranged inmates from Arkham Asylum. Those types of talents, but but 10 times worse. And then you have boots with melee weapons, regular boots, but this time they have melee weapons. So yeah, you have like 4 enemy types, and with the 4th one, there are different variants to them. So that's my idea for the enemy types in this game. So yeah, this is the second part to my Batman game pitch. I know I wanted to finish this entire part. This entire part. I just wanted to have 2 parts. Part 1 and part 2 for this pitch. But I ramble on for too long, and I'm losing my breath real quick. So I would leave the side missions and extra content for the next video. If you haven't already, press the like button if you loved the content here today. Press the subscribe button to get updated on the latest videos, and if you want to see the 3rd part to this pitch. And hit the bell icon to get notified on my latest videos. If you made up to the point of this video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye for now.